5 years of the Nintendo Switch. So going back when the Nintendo Switch, or the Nintendo NX, which is what it was like codenamed for, was being discussed, people didn't really like the sound of it. So the Wii U had been a flop. I love the Wii U, but it had failed miserably, right? And then everyone was kind of thinking, well, the NX is probably going to do the same. When you look at all the like publicity and all the publications talking about the NX, people were skeptical. They were skeptical. And then the Switch released. And it released with Breath of the Wild and also like, Skyrim. And for me personally, it blew my mind. I was like, this is what I've been always wanting. I'm a handheld lover. I've always loved handheld gaming. That's kind of like what got me into gaming, right? And then I love console gaming at the same time. So for Nintendo to make my favorite consoles like the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube and stuff like that, and then blend them into one system to rule them all, I had faith right off the bat. I had faith that this was going to be a success, despite the fact that everyone was a bit meh. And again, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Back in the day, I pre-ordered one. I put a deposit down, pre-ordered my Nintendo Switch, and I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to buy it, so I lost my deposit, and I had no Switch, right? Then I finally got one that Christmas. So, the 2017, that Christmas, I got one. Blew my mind. Absolutely could not believe it, because the handheld gaming that we'd had before, we'd just come from the 3DS. Which, despite the fact that that is an amazing system, you know what the graphics are like, Like, it's a handheld console. And then all of a sudden, we're getting actual, like, proper game console, TV console experience in your hands. I'll never forget that Christmas where I just sat and played Breath of the Wild, like, the whole time, and Skyrim as well. Pretty sure I had Skyrim at launch. And I think that's what really did it for me. So straight off the bat, it was a hybrid console, which totally was my thing. I was like, I am ready for this. But then also, because of that Skyrim launch, even though Skyrim was old by then anyway, I straight away went, that's quite a big deal, because that's kind of implying that we're going to get a lot more third-party support if the Switch becomes a success, right? If people buy into it and buy Skyrim and everything else, other developers are going to go, you know what? This is probably valid for me to bring my games over and actually bring a lot of third-party games over to the Switch, which we've got now, which I'm so happy about. But back then, I kind of foresaw it, and I was like, I want that to happen. I want that to happen. So even though I already owned Skyrim like a bunch of times, I went out and bought it for the Switch. Of course I did, because I wanted to support that, and my idea that, like, this could be quite big for ports. And well, it is. But yeah, hybrid, fantastic. The sort of third-party supports, yes. And also just the look of some of those first-party games like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. We started seeing all these kind of games coming to it, and they were going hard, Nintendo knew what they'd done wrong with the Wii U, and they were trying to make amends for it. And yeah, I wanted to jump on board from day one. So now fast forward 5 years later, and we have 4 Switch consoles, really, right? We've got the original Switch that launched, the OG original Switch. Then we got the red box Switch, which came out pretty much the same time as the Switch Lite, which was basically just a minor upgrade, so slightly different to increase battery life, basically. That was it. Basically didn't do anything else, but it was better battery life, okay? It was like more optimized, okay? So we got the 2 original Switches, then we had the Switch Lite, and now we got the Switch OLED, like, which is crazy. So there's 3 consoles, but I'm gonna say 4 because of the red box Switch, right? Okay. And the OLED is stunning, came out last year, so they've already said that we're halfway through the life cycle, so we're expecting this to be like a bigger thing than pretty much anyone expected, I would say. And then alongside that, we've now got the Nintendo Switch Online, which I think launched like a year after the Switch, so like 2018. And then last year, we got the expansion pack where you can have cloud saves, even though you can't actually save everything on the cloud. But anyway, most games you can save on the cloud, and then you've got the NES, you've got the SNES, you've got N64, you've got Sega Genesis or Dreamcast. No, it's not Dreamcast, Andy, stop saying that. Mega Drive. And yeah, you've got this whole online service, and you can get free game trials and stuff like that if you've got an active subscription. And now you can even customize your freaking icon if you want to, as long as you've got, you know, Nintendo Switch Online, which is with the new missions and rewards that have come out. So they've slowly and steadily been trying to like increase and make things better. Even with like the N64 games, they've slowly been trying to like upgrade them. So like look at what was it, Ocarina of Time, I think it was, and they've slowly been trying to make that better for the online service. So they're trying, okay? I still feel like it's a little bit too slow with what they're doing. Where's the themes? Where's so much other stuff for the Nintendo Switch Online? Where's the virtual console? Like there's so many things that could be done, but at least they're making steps, right? At least they didn't just push it out and leave it as it was at launch. They have actually made improvements. And of course, we have so many games now. There's thousands of games on the eShop, literally thousands, and there is so many great first-party games, ports, remasters, like just so many different games that are available, and like continuations of series that died long ago, like the Metroid 2.5D games, so like Metroid 5 Dread. That's like 20 years after the last one that came out on Game Boy Advance, and they revived that. You know, they've ported over the Bayonetta games. There's going to be a Bayonetta 3. We've got Breath of the Wild. We're gonna have Breath of the Wild 2. We're gonna have a new Kirby game. We're gonna have so many new things that are still coming. It's not like the Switch went up and then like dropped down and was like dying slowly. No, they've been going strength to strength with the games that they're making and the ports that they're doing and the remasters that they're doing. Like there's so much behind it. And again, with that third party support as well, like seeing all the BioShocks coming over, seeing Doom being ported over. Like there's so many games. It's crazy. And I love the fact that Nintendo have actually remade a lot of the Wii U games, because most people didn't get to experience those. So it is nice that they've brought Wii U games over. Still think there needs to be more. Where's Xenoblade Chronicles X? I would love that on Switch. Again, with like the Batman Arkham games, the one that was on the Wii U was great. So, you know, I'd love to see that being ported over to the Switch as well. So there's still a lot more they could do, but I am really happy that they've kind of made an effort here. And again, I'm really excited for Metroid Prime 4. Will we see it on this like generation of Switch? I don't know. I feel like it's probably a bit late. I feel like we'll probably see Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch too, but who knows? It could actually come to the Switch. So all in all, the Switch's 5th birthday, and it's just reinforcing itself as my favorite console of all time. I love the Nintendo Switch. I genuinely do. I have issues with it, and I think it needs to be better, but I love what they've done. I love how successful it's been. I love that so many people are enjoying so many different games and having fun, because that's what gaming's about, all right? It's about fun. Now, what I want Nintendo to do, again, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I want Nintendo to never kill the Switch. I want this to be the iPhone of gaming. So what I mean by that is that they just never change it. We don't see a Switch 2 as such, where it's a totally new thing. It's not like a hybrid console, instead of it being like the GameCube 2 or whatever, or, you know, like I want the Switch just to be the Switch. I want it to be hybrid now forever, portable handheld gaming and on the TV, but just with increased internals. Again, just like an iPhone, where the iPhone's exactly the same as it was whenever it launched 15 years ago, but it's just more powerful, it's got better screen, it's got better internals, it's got better memory, it's got better storage, everything else. That's what I want from the Switch. I want the Switch to become like the Switch Pro, and then like whatever else it becomes, and just make it more and more powerful, or so that it's just the dock that ends up being upgraded or whatever. I just want it like that, so that we get backwards compatibility now forever, that the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass or pack becomes massive with a huge backlog of virtual consoles, because the Wii U and the 3DS are like going. I want all of that on the Switch, and so that when the next Switch comes, we don't have to ditch everything like we did with the Wii U and the 3DS, where we lose access to it. I want to be able to access all this stuff forever, just on better hardware, better and better and better. I think like Nintendo would be silly not to do this, because they're still on an upward trend on the Switch, and if they just kept upgrading it and people could have their huge collections of games forever running on it, I want that. I really, really want that. But you know, if you're a fan of the Switch and you want to know about a potential Switch Pro, then click on this video. You want to click this video to see what I think about what could be the Switch Pro and a leak that came out with what the Switch Pro or the Switch 2 could actually have inside it. And make sure you go down there and subscribe first. Just subscribe first and then click this video.